Welcome to Deadly Dames, and for this video I'm going to be discussing my Eureka Master of Cinema collection. So I don't have masses from this company. I really wish that I did, because the restoration work that they do is superior to anything else out there. And I will discuss as I go through this collection some of the movies that I think the restoration work just is outstanding with, because I've seen before the movies before and after Eureka remastered them, and I know the difference between them. But some of the movies I'll just say them to you, because I don't want to bore you to death by talking about every single one of them. So to start with, I've got Hansel the Razor. It's basically got all the Hansel the Razor movies on here. This movie's well, I've watched the first one, The Sword of Justice. Oh my god, this movie's mad. It's the only way to describe it. Like his sex scene is never going to leave my head. It was disturbing to say the least, but I'm so glad I did pick up the box set, because it was definitely worth watching. I hadn't seen it before until I seen the Eureka edition of it, so definitely worth a watch. I haven't watched the other two yet, so if anyone else out there's seen them and would recommend that I get watching them right now, please let me know. But yeah, Hansel the Razor. These are my DVDs that I'm showing you first, and then I'll show you the Blu-rays. House. I've not long got this one, so need to watch it still. I might pronounce some of these wrong, and if I do, sorry. Kawandan. And cool cover, isn't it? Looks pure tortured. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this one. So they've released some good animation movies that look good as well. And then Wizards. And then I do have a box set from them that I got as well, because it was actually cheaper to get the box set than it was to get the movies individually. And that's just Classics of German Cinema. Really, I got this for Der Golem and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, but they're the only two that I've watched. I haven't watched any of these other ones. I'm interested in Munchausen, because I do like the release from Terry Gilliam. I love that movie, so I really do need to get watching this one. So that's all the DVDs that I have for Eureka. So we'll move on to the Blu-rays. So I actually bought this one absolutely ages ago in a sale in FOP, and I haven't watched it. It's just been sitting on the shelf. I think you ever get where you buy a load of movies of the same type of genre because you're in the mood for watching them, then you watch one of them, even though you maybe bought like 4 of the same type of film at the same time. You watch one, and then suddenly the mood that you're in changes, and you're like, oh well, I bought 4 movies of the same sort of type of genre movie, and then my mood's changed. Well, that's kind of what happened with Passion of Joan of Arc. So I was in the mood for this type of movie, and then swapped on to something else. So I will come back around and I'll watch it again. Watch it for the first time, I mean. So I'll just move that up there. And then we're on to some of my Eureka Steelbooks. Now, I love Steelbooks. The only thing about the Eureka ones is they're not exactly the most inventive. They are still cool, but they haven't really gone out their way to think of an inventive Steelbook cover. Still worth it though. There's actually a big Steelbook sale on in FOP just now for Eureka movies. If you're going to the FOP in Glasgow, it's upstairs that you'll see them, and that's where I got these ones. So I really do like Billy Wilder. I like a lot of the movies that he's released, and so I got Lost Weekend. I got this one ages ago because Double Indemnity is one of my favourite film noir movies. Excellent movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Barbara Stanwyck is outstanding in this film. Definitely worth a watch of this one. Alfred Hitchcock's The Lifeboat. I love Alfred Hitchcock. I've got to have a bit of him. I've not long picked this one up from Orson Welles, and it's Touch of Evil. The main reason I wanted this is because I actually bought the vinyl, and I really liked the soundtrack to it. I bought the vinyl because it was really cheap, but it made me want to watch the movie. So I had actually been eyeing this particular Steelbook in Computer Exchange for a long time, because it was £20 and it went down to 18, then down to 15, and then it dropped down to 10, and that's when I picked it up. And then we've got Cleopatra. If you're going to watch a version of Cleopatra, watch this one. This one's definitely the best. And then, now this one here I'm going to stop and chat about for a bit, because this is Metropolis. Now, I remember seeing Metropolis, sorry about the glare, it's because I've got these protective sleeves on the Steelbooks that's reflecting everything. But I actually watched Metropolis on a public domain release first of all, and it was really poor, really fuzzy, a lot of noise to it. There was sections missing, sections where it was just black screen and nothing else. There was bits where the text, it's a silent film, it's from the 1920s, there's bits where the text didn't appear and then it suddenly appeared a good few frames later. And I remember thinking the movie was okay, but not thinking it was outstanding or anything like that. And it's because of how poor the quality was. It's a bit like if you've ever seen a pirate version of a movie or you've streamed one online and it's just a terrible streaming of it. And you think that movie's not very good, and then you finally get to see a good quality version of it and you think it's not worth streaming these poor editions because it can ruin your experience. Well, that's kind of what happened with Metropolis. That kind of ruined it for me, the way that I watched it. And then I actually seen the Steelbook and I just really liked the Steelbook, and it was funny, they had a competition at the time because this is a limited edition one where you could win like a cube of basically fake gold, and I just got it because it was on sale and watched it. It blew me away. The restoration work that Eureka have done on this is far superior to anything I've ever seen on any other movie. Basically, they took a movie which was sort of all over the place, parts missing, sections that weren't quite right, and restored it to make it look like it's almost a movie you could pick up today. It was just amazing from beginning to end, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic what they'd done with it. So much so that it actually kind of became one of my favourite movies of all time. It's definitely, for a movie made in the 1920s, it is way ahead of its time. The subject matter, I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but if you go into FOP, well, it was there last week, I don't know if it's still there, you can actually get the Steelbook edition on DVD for £5. For £5, go and buy Metropolis and watch it, because this movie is from Fritz Lang, it's just mind-blowing, it is fantastic. Don't watch any other edition, just watch the one from Eureka, because the remastering that they've done on it totally gives this movie justice, and it's the only way that I could ever recommend watching it. Really, really good movie. Because of how much I liked Metropolis, it actually made me start getting lots of films from Fritz Lang, so I got M. Haven't seen it yet, but I'm really looking forward to watching it. I've not long picked it up, and that's the main reason I haven't watched it yet. And then we've got, I can't pronounce this one either, so I'm not even going to try. Another one, not long picked up, so I haven't watched it yet. The animation on it just looked fantastic. It's funny, the cover kind of looks like BFG, doesn't it? Except with a kind of mad fish swimming with her boobs hanging out and big red eyes, but it does kind of look like BFG a little bit. We've got Silent Running, and then another film that I think the restoration work that Eureka has just done is amazing, and that is Island of the Lost Soul. So it's the Island of Dr. Moreau. I've actually got the remake and then the third remake of that as well on DVD, but this is the best edition of it that you'll ever see. It's just a really, really good movie, and as I said previously with Metropolis, it's a movie that you could put on from Eureka and think this could be made today, even though they're in black and white or a silent movie. This one's not silent, but Metropolis was. You would still think, oh, this could have been made today. That's how good it is, so I definitely would recommend watching Island of Lost Souls. And we've got The Man That Could Cheat Death, another one that I've not long picked up. And then The Town That Dreaded Sundown. I actually seen I guess it'd be a sequel, but I think they're technically classing it as a remake, but I've seen the newer edition before this one, and I thought that movie was fantastic. Fast-paced slasher. Now, I knew obviously when I seen the original one of this, it wasn't going to be as fast-paced and as bloody as the remake is. But I think, for me, where this movie went wrong is I don't really think they knew what type of film they wanted. It was kind of documentary style in places, comedy in other places, and violence in others. It was almost like they wanted to make a documentary because obviously it's kind of based on a real, like, on fact, what's happened. It's based on real events. But then it's seen, well, in my opinion, I think they've seen The Last House on the Left, which is from Wes Craven, the original one. And they've kind of seen what he did. So he had sections in The Last House on the Left of extreme violence, followed by two stupid cops that make you laugh, just doing like Lord and Hardy things in the middle, back to extreme violence. And it kind of messes with your head because you're like, oh, well, that's horrible, and then laugh, and oh my god, it's horrible again, I shouldn't have laughed. And I think that's kind of what they tried to do with The Town That Dreaded Sundown, because they've got this stupid police officer in it again, but it just doesn't fit the film. I think they'd probably been better to stick to documentary style. It is still a really good movie to watch. Don't let what I've said put you off it. But to me, it just didn't feel like it was pieced together that well. I actually preferred the remake, but it was still good to see this one, so at least I knew what the remake was following on from. And then a really good blaxploitation movie, and that is Blacula, and it's got the sequel, Scream Blacula Scream, can't speak anymore. Definitely, if you like these sorts of films, watch them, they're really funny. Pam Grier's in the second one, so if you like horror or blaxploitation movies, this is one that you definitely need to add to your list. And in The Skull, I'm glad that I'm starting to see a wee bit more sort of horror coming from Eureka, because they didn't really do an awful lot of that, so it's good to see that they're starting to pick up some more movies like that. Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. This is to me this is a good kind of Sunday movie, a bit like how you put on Clash of the Titans or any Sinbad movie and watch it on a Sunday. Just a feel good kind of adventure film. This is what this one is for me. And now this one here, see if I pronounce it correctly, Ona Baba. This movie is kind of insane, but it is another one that the restoration work that Eureka have done on it is outstanding. It's a movie that if you put it on, even though it's in black and white, you could think it was made today. It's in Japan, and it's during a Japan war, and it's basically about a mother and her daughter-in-law having to do things to try and survive because all the men are away at war and they're starving and the things that they have to do, and then a man comes between them and it takes a horrible turn from there. It's one of these films that's actually very much picturesque, and it's all done with music and the scenes. I mean, there's a lot of running through tall grass, but the way that it's done, it's kind of creepy with the soundtrack that goes along with it. It's definitely a movie worth watching. I don't want to ruin anything for you with it, but it is definitely a movie worth watching, and the restoration, you're not going to see a better version than this one. And then the last movie is Wake in Fright, which is another new one I've not long got. I bought it second hand from Computer Exchange. Not put it on yet. I've heard it's a really good movie. It's an Australian film, so I should really get this to the top of my list to watch. But the catalogue that Eureka have is massive, and that is the reason why I don't really have everything from them. I think if I was to sit and buy everything from them, it's like a small mortgage I'd have. But if there's any Eureka movies out there that I've missed, that any Eureka fans out there really, really like or would like to recommend, please let me know, because I'm interested. I think the thing about Eureka and the Master of Cinema collection is the range is so wide, and a lot of the movies that they've released are movies that I haven't seen before, and they can be quite pricey. And when it's like that, I'm not as tempted to take a chance when they're so expensive, just to see what the movie's like. So it is good when someone recommends it to you, so at least that way when you're going to spend the money on it, you know it's a movie that you might actually really enjoy. And some of these I have taken a chance on, like this one, and I don't regret it. It was really, really good, but as I said, it can be quite pricey. So if anyone out there has seen any other ones and would like to recommend them to me, please do, because I'd be interested in watching more from this company. In fact, they've announced it, and I think it's out in July. They're releasing Enemy Mine, which is one of my favourite 80s films, so I'm so glad that Eureka's decided to do that. So I'm definitely going to be getting that from them. But please, if there's any other movies that you want to recommend to me from the Master of Cinema series, please let me know in the comments below. And please like and subscribe, and take care.